Hi, I'm Julie Johnson with Firebox Training. Today I'm going to show you how to parse an XML file using Java. Now there's several ways of parsing an XML file. We have several different types of parsers. By the way, a parser is just some kind of program that can break up an XML file into more meaningful pieces like the element name and the attribute name and text nodes and such. So the first thing that we're going to need is an XML file to work with. What I have open right now is my Eclipse environment, and I'm going to first of all just create a new Java project, and I'm going to call this Java DOM Parser. The reason why I put DOM in there, it stands for Document Object Model. It's a type of parser that simply parses the document and then stores an in-memory tree representation of our XML document. And then from there we can extract meaningful pieces of information or even manipulate the structure of that. Okay, so you'll see here that I'm using Java Standard Edition 1.7, and we'll go ahead and this is under my Sandbox 2 directory, or wherever you decide to put your workspace, that's fine. Okay, so I'll hit next and then finish. And then next I'm going to right click on here and say new Java class. Okay, and I'm going to make the name of my class be my DOM parser, and I'd like to have a main method in there, which is the main entry point into our Java program. Okay. And then the next thing I'm going to need inside of my project is an XML file that I can work with. And so what I did was just went into my directory system here, and I'm just going to grab an XML file that I already had. Here, let me just grab this, and I can just drag it right into my project like that. I'm going to copy the file, and so now I have this file called people.xml. Now if I want to take a look at the structure, I can right click and open this up. The best way to look at it is with a web browser. And this is what it looks like. So my root node is people, or my root element is people, and that has two children nodes, each person. The person elements each have an attribute called ID. So we have ID equals 1, ID equals 2, and then we have some more children nodes, children elements, last name and first name, and then these guys right in here are what we call text nodes. Okay, so now the next thing I want to do is go into my Java program, and I want to have some code in here that is going to help me tap into this XML. Okay, so the class that I want to first of all use is what we call a document builder factory. It's just a factory class that will then allow us to create a document builder object. So I'll start with document builder factory, and I'll just call this variable factory. And you'll see here that I can just click right on here and perform an import. So this belongs to the javax.xml.parsers package. Okay, so if I say document builder factory dot, you can see all the different methods available. New instance is a static method which returns a document builder factory object. So I can just double click on here and it will work just fine. Okay, let me move this over just a little bit here. Okay, need a semicolon. At this point, we're looking good. Okay, now from the factory, let's see what methods are available. You'll see that there's a method here called new document builder, and it returns a document builder object right there. That's the return type, document builder. Okay, so I'll double click on that, and here on the left hand side, we'll go like that. Now this also needs to be imported. Okay, I also need to click on here and surround this with a try catch to handle those checked exceptions. So this can possibly throw a parser configuration exception. Okay, so once we have our builder object, you'll see that we have the parse method, and we can, it's overloaded. What I'm interested in is this string arg. So this one argument is the name of the file that we want to parse. You'll see that it returns a document object. Okay, so right in here, I need to put the name of my file, which is going to be people.xml. So this is in relation here to my project. Now I said that it returns a document object. So here I'll just say document doc equals, and you'll see that we need to import. Now we have two different things we can import here. What we're interested in is the org.w3c.dom. So this is the W3C's implementation of the parser. And then I also need to add a catch clause to the surrounding try. So this can possibly throw a SAX exception or an IO exception. At this point, what I'd like to do is run my program, and if I have any problems, we'll see some error messages down in the console. Since I have no errors, we know we're good so far. If I did a typo, let's say I accidentally had the wrong name of the file like I just did here, when I run it, it will tell me what the problem is. Okay, so let me fix this again and run it. Okay, so now we have this variable doc. Well, what can we do with our document object? If I say doc dot get element by tag name, and so here we can grab string tag name. What I'm interested in are my person tags. And look at the return data type. It's a node list that it returns. So the name of my tag that I'm looking for is person, so it's going to go through the whole thing here and look for any tag that says person. And by the way, this is case sensitive. On the left hand side, I'm going to say that it returns a node list. I'll call this person list. Now let's perform the import. Okay, so once you have a handle on your node list, you can loop through your node list. So if I say person list dot, notice that we can reference an item passing in the position. So the first one would be subscript 0, second one would be subscript 1, and so on. The other thing that we have available is get length, which tells us how many elements are in that node list. So what we can do is a traditional for loop. I can say for int I equals 0, I is less than person list dot get length I plus plus. So this will loop through for us twice because we have two person tags. Okay, so now what do we do? Well, if I say person list dot item and I pass in the index, you'll see that it returns a node. I'm going to pass in I. Okay, actually what I'm going to do is make this a little more generic and then just check the data type. That's the better way of doing this. So here I'll just let me just say P equals. Okay, so what data type is P? It's a node. And make sure I import org.w3c.dom. Okay, now I'm going to have an if statement. I'm going to say, well, if P dot get node type, if it equals node dot, and look at all these built-in types here. One of them is element node. So there's different types of nodes. We have like element nodes, text nodes, comment nodes, and so on. So we just want to make sure that we're dealing with a person tag, which is an element node. Then we're going to downcast it. So here I'm going to say element person equals P. So a couple things. We need to import element, once again, org.w3c.dom. And then the other thing we need to do is add a cast like this. Okay, so once I have a handle on that, what can I do there? Well, let's take a look at here. We can grab the ID. An ID is an attribute. So if I want to grab the value of the ID attribute, you'll see here we can get the attribute. It takes as its argument the attribute name, and it returns the corresponding value. Okay, so we're looking for the ID attribute, and on the left-hand side is the ID. Okay, so I've captured the ID in here. Now let's capture the last name and first name. Okay, so once again, I already have a handle on that person node. If I say person dot get child nodes, it's going to grab all the children. Now they may or may not be all elements. So once again, I'm going to look at the node type to make sure. This returns a node list. So here I'm going to say node list like this. And now I'm going to loop through it. I want to use a different counter than I because I is already taken. Let's use J. J is less than name list dot get length J++. Okay, so in here I'm going to take my name list item, pass in J. Remember that returns a node. Let's just call this N. Let's check the data type. If N dot get node type, if it's equal to node dot element node, then we're going to handle it. So here let's grab the, let's first of all cast it down. So I'm going to say element name equals N, and I'm going to downcast it. Now let's do this. I'm going to print out I already have access to the ID, so I'm going to say person and then ID and then a literal colon. And what else do we want to put in here? How about name dot get node? Whoops, sorry. Name dot get tag name. And then we'll get the text content. Do a literal equal sign. Name dot get text content. Let's run this one more time. Okay, so far so good. Okay, of course we could do some cleanup and change this to where the person information is just printed out once for each person, but you get the idea here. You can extract pieces of information from here, and if you wanted to, you can also use the API to manipulate that node, but that's in a different tutorial some other time. Well, I hope you got a lot out of this video tutorial. Please visit our website at www.fireboxtraining.com.